Frankie, Man United tomorrow. How is oneself?
Yeah, really good. Been a full-on week of football. I've enjoyed every second of it. So yeah, been really enjoying watching football this week.
What have you been watching? What games did you watch?
Obviously, the two Champions League games,
Yeah,
they were brilliant. Obviously, the Barcelona-Inter Milan game was just such
sensational.
entertainment. Brilliant.
Two,
Just
both ties as well. Just
yeah, unbelievable. Just two sides who wanted to play football. Just wanted to go out there and just apply themselves and just go at it. And the passion from Inzaghi on the side of the pitch. I mean, he was everywhere, weren't he? He was up and down that line. How it was allowed, I don't know. But I mean, all the time he was getting away with it. He was pushing the boundary as far as he could. He was virtually on the pitch at times. So that was fantastic to watch. And then the Arsenal game, not quite as exciting, but still enjoyable to watch. And seeing the meltdown afterwards was fantastic. How you can go from, it's gone like Decline Rice, not sure about Arteta, to Arteta's the greatest manager in the world. We massively underpaid for him. And now straight back to Arteta out and everything else. So they're really comical and quite fun to watch.
I've generally seen people discussing if Arsenal won the Champions League, would Declan Rice win Ballon d'Or? Hang on a minute, you were calling, like you said, you were calling him Declined Rice not long ago.
I know that's what I just can't get my head around. And for all of West Ham are always consistently angry and emotional about everything, so we're all right. We're consistently like that. Arsenal just go from one extreme to the other, and you just think, what is going on? But it's nice to watch another fan base meltdown as opposed to it being us. So I was quite happy with that. And then last night I was flicking between the two games. Well, actually, all three. I was watching a bit of. I started off with the Tottenham game, thinking, can this mob turn them over? And was hoping that they could get a goal just to make it interesting. Never quite come. When Tottenham scored, flicked over to United, watched a bit of United, and in between I was flicking over and had a keen eye on George Murphy and the Championship playoff tie. So just full on football.
How did Murphy get on?
Well, he didn't start. So he didn't start
the game,
but he
came on in the first half.
Yeah, what a hard time it was to come on. Like you've gone down to 10 men, massive injustice, and apparently, watching a few bits on after the match and so on, that they've got a real habit of when they go 1-0 down, they just drop their heads. Apparently, that's been happening all season. Look, I don't know whether that's the case or not. I haven't watched enough of them to know that, but that's what a lot of fans were saying, that, we just, as much as some people may feel it was a little harsh, other people were saying, no, it's clear, absolute, obvious penalty red.
What did you think? Did you think it was...
Do you know the worst thing about football at the moment, mate, is you never know or struggle to have an opinion on anything because you never know what the actual rules are at the time.
Well, the rule is it's double jeopardy, so they got rid of that. So if you commit a foul outside the box, even if you have a genuine attempt at the ball and it's a last man, you get sent off, free kick, red card. But inside the box, if you have a genuine attempt to play the ball and you're the last man and you commit a foul, it's a penalty and a booking, because they felt like a penalty and a red card was harsh, double jeopardy. So that's the rule. So the question is, do you think Dickey attempted to play the ball? If the answer is yes, then it should have been a booking. The answer is no, he tried to just haul him down, then it should be a red card because there's no attempt to play the ball there. I think it's fair to say that there's no dispute that it's a penalty. The dispute is, should he have been sent off or not? What's your take? Do you think
that's the problem with the rule, isn't it? That's open to interpretation.
Yeah, it is. Shouldn't be subjective. It's very subjective.
But you have to take that out. In rules of football, it should either be, if you foul someone in the box, this happens, end of. Because then there isn't the ref can think one way, fans can think another. Look, he tries to swing his leg at the ball, but it's well after he's dragged the player to the ground.
That's my view. My view is, does he attempt to play the ball? Yes. However, it comes after he's committed the foul. So he brings him down and then goes round Kiefer Moore once Kiefer Moore is halfway on the deck and then kicks the ball. But you've tried to play the ball after you've committed the foul. So I think the red card was the correct decision for me. I do think like that. Now I never watched. I've watched the highlights. I never watched the Bristol City game because unfortunately the other half's grander is a Man U fan, so he was. Oh, could I come watch the football? So feel like you have to say yes, but because we're playing them, I thought I'll just watch it anyway. So annoyed I didn't get to watch that championship game because I was looking forward to it. But given that it was 3-0, well, 1-0 down to 10-minute half time, I knew the game and I knew the tie was over at that point. That Bristol City were going to have a hard job. But last night's game, now we're recording this on Friday, but last night's game, that will be the good one. Don't know what happened yet. Coventry Sunderland. But I bet it was bloody good, and I'm looking forward to that. No one's taking me away from that one. Anyway, Frankie, we've got our own game tomorrow against Man United. What are you fancying, or are you not fancying it at all?
Normally, at one point in my supporting West Ham lifetime, I had 100% record at Old Trafford. I went to the Di Canio Bartes one in the FA Cup, which was first time I'd ever been to Old Trafford. So that was 1-0. And then I went when Jermaine Defoe scored a header at the back post in the league in a night game, which was amazing as well. So had 100% record. Always quite like going to Old Trafford, to be honest. We're always very colourful there. We always make a lot of noise and, quite enjoy it. However, my last trip to Manchester, Gio, I got a coach from Stratford. Never again. Never, ever. That was the longest. It was like torture. And on the way home, the motorway was down to one lane. I think we ended up landing back in Stratford about 6:30 in the morning. It was a tough old trip, mate. A tough old trip. Sitting on that coach for 8 hours or whatever it was just, it's too much. So if I'm ever going to go to Old Trafford again, it would certainly be on the train. I've been offered tickets.
What was the match? Do you know?
It was the FA Cup one last season.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just a long slog, tough day. It was quite uncomfortable and just whatever. So look, train's the answer. It's just whether I've been given 2 tickets. It's just whether or not I can link the trains up and get there. My boy's desperate to go to Old Trafford. He really fancies it.
So. I quite like Old Trafford as a ground as well. I quite like the way end in the corner and it's high up. It is up, I guess, but I don't know. It still feels reasonably low down, all things considered, despite being in the upper tier. But I like Old Trafford. Last time I went, we lost 1-0 2-3 years ago. We were still in. No, it must have been 3 because we were still in with a chance of European football, and it was towards the end of the season. So might have been the season finished 7, and I think it was Rashford scored in like the 92nd minute to make it 1-0. That was a tough game because it was tense between the fans that were in the ground. You could tell it was tense because we were right beside each other in the league as well at that point, and they scored very, very, very late on. I think Martial was involved too. I want to say it was Martial and Rashford that one of them set the other one up. Bang, 1-0. So yeah, but I do like Old Trafford. But in terms of the game, how are you feeling ahead of it?
You've got to fancy it a little bit now, just in a sense that they've got, again, bigger things to worry about. We keep saying this about teams that we play, and we don't make a blind bit of difference. Well, maybe it does because we end up with a draw instead of a loss. But look, we've gone a long time without a win now. It's really starting to feel like we're desperate for a win, and this would be a brilliant time to go and get it. So, like I say, they've got other things to worry about. The league isn't really going to do a lot for them. Winning this match isn't going to do a lot for them. But you could say the same about us. But I think with how long we've gone without a win now, it will do wonders for getting the fans back on side for the last couple of remaining games of the season, for Potter's confidence, for us going into this sort of summer. So it'll be nice to get a win on the board and start feeling a bit happier about West Ham.
Just be fun. It would just be fun. Winning games is fun, right? And was it 8 games we're winless, and now since we beat Leicester City back in February. So it's been a March. Whenever we beat Leicester 2-0 anyway, that's the last game we won. It has been a while, and it would just be fun to win a game of football. And you're right, whenever we do come up against teams recently, it's like, oh, they've got something else. But the reality is there's going to be 9 Premier League teams playing European football. next season. It's just so 6 teams in the Champions League now because of the Europa League final. Speaking of that final, take your card and blue specs off for the next couple of minutes? Who are you fancying to win?
Oh, I've just got that horrible feeling. Do
you have one you prefer to win?
Oh, absolutely. That's a given. That is.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they ended up doing what they did last night and was convincing with it, because I think they need confidence as well. And I didn't want them to sort of be 1-1. Spurs have gone through quite comfortably. They're feeling quite confident. United have got that little doubt in their mind. But because the way the game ended, I just feel like United's confidence building all the time. So I'm hopeful that Amorim can get them fired up and ready to go. And if United do it, doesn't affect me whatsoever. I'm just, yeah, that's great. I mean, Premier League teams won it, wonderful. If that lot win it, it will be that we've won the better trophy than you. Yours is the Mickey Mouse one. We've won the proper one, blah, blah, blah. We'll never hear the end of it.
You thought this season couldn't get any worse, but actually it can. It can still get worse. We don't move. We remain 17th. Nothing happens to West Ham, but it still gets worse being a West Ham fan. But if we win and Spurs and Everton, I think Everton may have to lose, but results go our way elsewhere, Frankie, we can move up to 14th. Now, while there's nothing to write home about, it just feels like it just takes the edge off a little bit, all things considered. And I mean, I think it sums up how bad the league's been, that we go 8 games without winning, win 1, and we jump up to 14th and overtake 3 teams in the process. But I do feel like Sunday night, we can win at Old Trafford. Sunday night, you look at the league table, we're 14th. It's not great. It perhaps doesn't feel as miserable as it has been.
Yeah, I mean, I've going to Cray under 23s the other night, and there's a lot of Millwall fans who manage other teams, and they were all turning around and going, "Oh, it's just lucky that there was 3 teams worse than you, or you would have got relegated." And that's the general opinion at the moment. There's nothing nice about being the worst of the rest. That's just a horrible place to be. 14th feels really nice. I've got to say, I'd be over the moon with 14th, and it just takes that little bit of people's little digs that they've been coming out with at the moment, that basically you should have been relegated. All of that will go away. So it will be a really good thing if we can get that win.
In terms of the team, actually, I want to ask you about one player in particular, Edson Alvarez, because he's been absent. Potter said he'd been injured. Weirdly, Fabrizio Romano said he had a back injury. This was a couple of weeks ago. But Potter said in his Brighton press match conference that he'll be back for the next game, alluding to the Spurs one. And some people said he was in training ground footage, which I hadn't seen myself. I did watch a bit of it, but I didn't see him. But he was just nowhere to be seen. And he wasn't addressed in his pre-match press conference before the Spurs game. I'm quite skeptical. I'm thinking maybe there's an issue here. But what's your take on it? Have you got a bad feeling about this?
Yeah, it doesn't seem right, does it? Again, it's just so annoying that you just are never kept, not kept in the loop, but why everything has to be so secretive and everything else. You're just better off knowing, this second guessing that winds fans up and creates these discussion points and, causes a little bit of unrest. Look, I don't know.
Especially when in half of it gets leaked. And I think this is where leaks are dangerous, because The Athletic did their article saying, there's been fighting, but they don't name names, understandably. But then Alvarez is absent from the squad for a couple of weeks. So it's hard to not look at both things and think, well, there's got to be a correlation.
And that's it. You put 2 and 2 together and come up with whatever it is. You'd just be better off knowing that. And these people, they're clever people. They've got media people, PR people behind the clubs and everything else. It's not difficult to put something together that basically says, not happy at the moment, needs to work on some things before coming back into the squad. And that's it. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like,
it removes the questions about Potter too, because say Alvarez doesn't play on Sunday, naturally you're allowed to sit there and go, well, where is he? Why can't we play? Why are we not playing Alvarez? He's possibly, to some people, he's our best central midfielder. So why are we not playing our best central midfielder? But actually, if they addressed it and said, well, he's been dropped because of disciplinary issues or whatever, they'd have to go into great detail, but you just remove the elephant in the room and say, look,
yeah,
that's why he's not in the squad. It's disciplinary issues. That's all we're going to say. Okay, right. Well, we now know something's gone on. Case closed. Yes, we will still go, oh, I wonder what it is, and blah, blah, blah. But at least it's been dealt with. I actually think it's more dangerous to pretend there's not an issue or it doesn't exist because, like you said, it leads to, naturally, speculation. It'd be interesting to see if he's in the squad or not. Is there anyone you're hoping to see start or perhaps not start at Old Trafford? I know you're not a big one for lineups, which always amuses me. You're the first person I've ever met that just doesn't really care about who plays and who doesn't play, kind of thing. But perhaps you may have a desire this weekend.
Yeah, again, just I mean, seeing Fulkrug at the weekend, he sort of had his head up. He then, I don't think he had a very good game against Tottenham at all, to be honest. And I think he should have been pulled off a bit earlier. But I do feel like, again, that's the one that you've got to really persevere with. He can still be a handful. He can still be a nuisance. So I'd like to see him back up top again and play him with a proper striker. I don't want us experimenting with the whole front line again. I think we just keep it as it is. I just, again, feel like we need to find, and this is the thing, isn't it? I think Alvarez allows more creativity from our midfield. I think our midfield looked a bit void of ideas, too deep. Alvarez kind of frees up Paqueta a little bit, allows him to go forward, not have to worry too much about, tracking back and helping out. So, yeah, I think that was interesting. And then it's the back line. Again, just didn't look very comfortable to me at the weekend. And Kilman, I think a lot of people are saying he could or should, it's not could, should be mixed up there. But the alternative is Mavropanos comes in and he's as prone to a mistake as Kilman is. So I don't know. I just think, again, I don't know whether I've seen what we all expected, which is playing to understand next season. If we played how Potter wants to play football next season, and there was a couple of square pegs in round holes, and you just think, then you can go, but no, I get what he's trying to do. But that hasn't worked out because that player there isn't right. But I get it. And then when we go and make some signings in the summer, that will be resolved. And then I'm still not 100% sure I understand what Potter wants to do.
Yeah, I completely understand that point of view because, ironically enough, I think that's exactly what Amorim's doing at Man U, which is square pegs and round holes. And I don't hammer players, but this is how I want to play. And you go one or two ways, don't you? You either do what you want to do and squeeze players in, and whatever happens, or you come up with a system with the players available and you get the best out of them. But it does feel like we're a bit of a halfway house at the minute, which is we're not really doing either. We're not really doing what Potter wants to do, and we're not getting the best out of what we've got. We're sort of in the middle, and we know what the result is. Well, we're not getting any. We've gone 8 or 9. I should really know that statistic because I think it's 8. I think it's 8 that we've gone without a win. But that's the problem. That's where we are. Whereas, Man U perhaps aren't getting the results, but I think you can look at them and go, yeah, but once he gets his players, they will be better. Whereas with us, you look at what we're doing, and I don't think you can say it with that confidence. But once he gets his players, we will be better. I think it's more of an element of once he gets his players, we're going to have to change how we play. And that's trickier, I think.
Normally, I would be on the other side. If you're in a competitive season, you've got to work with what you've got and you've got to get the best out of them. So even if you wanted to play a certain way, I would say you've got to play the cards that you've been dealt. That's all you can do. But we're not in that scenario. We're in a position where there isn't really much benefit either way to.
Yeah, there's no
show me what we're going to get. Show me what we're going to get. And if you do that and it doesn't quite work out because, you haven't got the right people around, and I'm that again, I think there's so many things going on that is the cause of why so many fans are a little bit volatile and a little bit erratic with how they're feeling about West Ham right now. And there's a few things that could really settle that down a little bit. So, yeah, it's what it is.
Well, speaking of showing us what we're going to get, what do you think we're going to get at Old
Yeah,
Trafford?
like I say, I think their minds are going to be very much elsewhere. I really do. And they're not a great side. They're just not. And there's no real better time to be going to Old Trafford, to be perfectly honest. Minds have been turned, big European thing. That's their season. That can turn their season from a really poor one to a decent one. As much as Amorim said, winning it doesn't make their season a good season. And that's a great mentality to have. It's, it's still not good enough. And that's the standard we've got to set ourselves. And that's it. So, I like that about him. But yeah, I think you should be going into this one full of confidence. I will go into it full of confidence. And regardless of our
here he goes, come on,
8 games, I fancy us big time.
Love it.
I do. I really do. I don't see him scoring. And I think we'll go and beat them 2-0.
A brace for Fulkrug?
Yeah, why not? We'll go with that.
Oh, that'll set me up nicely for the last 2. And I'm desperate here. I need a couple of hat tricks from Fulkrug in the last 3 games. But anyway, Frankie, thank you very much. That was an enjoyable chat. I like that. I enjoyed this podcast. If you guys at home have enjoyed it, I would argue you have because you're still listening. And please do kindly drop a like on the video by clicking thumbs up. We can get 1,000 likes. That'd be fantastic. Please subscribe to Hammer's Chat. Don't be shy. Get involved in the comments below. Myself and Frankie will be along later on in the day to have a look at what you're all saying and get interacting with you. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, Frankie. Well, I say enjoy Sunday. If you go, enjoy it. And we'll catch up with you next week.
Sounds good to me.